There are thousands of YouTube videos being published every single day in your exact niche. And if you don't make these 3 YouTube videos with the nuances that I'm going to break down to you today, you're going to have a very tough time, one, closing more deals, getting more leads, and ultimately succeeding on this platform. So let's get into it. We're going to start with number 1. Now, number 1 is very common. However, again, it's all about the nuances. So demonstration videos. Now, if you're a business owner, a coach, you obviously have a particular system, a particular setup, and that you've developed over the years. So what I want to do, or what you should be doing, is you should be showcasing that system. So if it's lead generation, pull out an Airtable or whatever kind of management system you're using and actually demonstrate how this thing will work. Okay, and those are demonstration videos. Now here is the nuance. Okay, and we're going to talk about this as we go on. And more important, this is going to be for another video, but I'm going to touch upon it here. Demonstration videos are very important. Okay, they basically there's more awareness, right? So they can feel actually using the product by actually you demonstrating what you're doing. Okay, and they're very important because once they see how it works, they can start to believe that they're actually they can use it and they can actually see results. AKA, they're now being funneled down the buying spectrum. Okay, so demonstration videos are very popular. You can showcase the whole thing. If you don't feel like you want to showcase the whole thing because it's your system, that's totally fine. I get that. Show aspects of it. Show some, and we're not going to talk about deep research on your audience today. That's for another video. But talk about specific pain points. Again, so if it's leads, talk about generating leads, right? Because each each solution is going to create a new problem. Okay, so sorry, solution problem. Each solution is going to create a new problem, and then that's kind of the ascension path that you can bring them on. So you can either break down the whole video, okay, and the one thing you want to realize too is that kind of Hormozy kind of popularized this in kind of the mass market is sell the strategy. Give away the strategy, sell the implementation of it. And what you start to see is that a lot of people are just giving a ton of stuff away for free, okay? And it's my hypothesis that they're actually doing that to overwhelm you. So you may think, oh, this is awesome. They're giving me 30 documents. The problem is you don't know where to start, okay? And it's just going to be it's very tricky. So what they're actually trying to do is overwhelm you. So again, it doesn't, don't be afraid to give away the so-called farm, okay? Give as much value as you possibly can that you're comfortable with. And usually the pro tip here is that you want to actually, that line where you're like, this is kind of like the real, like the stuff I sell, the real good, like valuable advice, information I sell, you want to start giving away that stuff. Because if you can give away that stuff, and they trust you and they implement it and it works, they're going to ultimately start buying your higher tier stuff, right? And you can actually just start developing better products. So yeah, demonstration video is very important. You can start off with a classic how-to, how to get more leads via thing, how to make, how to get leads with YouTube, whatever your coaching or your business or agency does. Just demonstrate how you actually do it for the client. Again, it puts them right in the driver's seat and they can actually feel what it'd be like working with you, which is super important. Now, going to the next format or video that you need to be publishing is the product awareness videos. Now, again, it's all about the nuance here. So depending on how sophisticated your market is. So if you're kind of in the, the core 3 being health, wealth, and relationships, if you're kind of in one of them, the product awareness videos, they have to be mechanistic. They have to be mechanistic because if it's a super sophisticated market, they already know how to do the thing. Okay, like everyone's jaded in those markets. So you have to come up with a mechanistic video that explains your thing differently, right? That's why keto works, right? This is why you should try intermittent fasting. I'm going to talk about the mechanism, how this thing actually works, the how it works, not really about the how, right? So we're not really talking about how to lose weight. It's talking about how this thing is going to help you do this thing. Because again, they're sophisticated markets. A pro tip here as well is that it's something called superstructures, and Alan Saltanik talks a lot about this. It is easier to sell the individual, okay, if there is a superstructure, which is AK, something they already have experience with using. So that's why you see a lot of the BizOp individuals, business opportunity people, they're selling how to make money on YouTube, how to make money on Facebook, how to make money on Amazon, Shopify, all those things. Now, those things are called superstructures. Again, the consumer is used to, one, using them, navigating them, and again, more importantly, the reason why it works is because they can already feel themselves doing the thing. Like they already feel comfortable with those things, right? If I said, hey, we're gonna make money paving roads or something, it's hard to imagine doing that. But if I say, hey, I'm gonna show you how to make money on your iPhone, well, you've been using your phone for years, and it just becomes a lot easier to sell. Okay, but nonetheless, I need to start. So demonstration videos are actually the system, the process, what it feels like to potentially work with you. The product awareness videos are why you are different from other individuals, and specifically, if you are in a sophisticated market, it is about why this thing is better, why this thing works. It's mechanistic in nature. It has to be, or these people would just say, I've heard this all before. That's why you start having branches, all right? You start having these branches from the core three, right? So again, like I said, keto, intermittent fasting, all these things, because people have to create new things, because again, the whole classic, this is how you're gonna lose weight, is just not gonna work anymore. So if you are, again, in a sophisticated market, it has to be mechanistic. It has to be a mechanistic video. You have to really focus on why this thing works, okay? What this thing does, why it works, and that is, again, that's kind of your USP, right? Unique selling proposition. And so you have to do it that way, okay? And then, obviously, lastly, and again, there are some other videos here, and we have a lot coming, but case studies. Obviously, case studies are super important. The more I can see you getting results for other clients, the more I can buy into your story, your narrative, what your business does, and ultimately want to work with you. If you don't have social proof, that's totally fine. If you're just starting out, most of you do have social proof. I would say start just collecting testimonials. Obviously, you're going to showcase that on your website, your lander, maybe even some ads, some organic. But what you want to do is basically, here's kind of the cheat code. Some people actually don't like doing video, or they're not going to come on and spend 10 minutes with you because they're business owners or whoever, they're busy. So what you actually want to do is you want to get them doing a video testimonial if possible, and all you're going to do is actually crop yourself into the video so it looks like you two are having a conversation. And then what you're going to kind of stitch that together so that it's kind of in sync is that you're going to film yourself asking questions and kind of reacting to their video, to their testimonial. Then eventually you're going to get an editor, and you're going to put yourself right beside their testimonial, and it literally looks like you're actually having a full-on conversation, okay? And in fun fact, a lot of people that you look up to potentially are doing that, okay? And that's a great way to grab content and post it, okay, specifically on YouTube. So I need you to develop in case studies. Those are massive, and specifically about, there's obviously some key questions you want to ask during that case study to get the most out of it, so that, one, the user understands, how this whole process worked, and that's the demonstration videos are obviously going to help with that. But you also want to ask, like, hey, where were you? What were you doing prior to us? All this other good stuff. And social proof is so important right now in today's market. Trust recession, all this other stuff. It becomes super, super important to demonstrate who else is doing this, okay? So whenever you can say stuff like that, by all means do it. Now, like I said, if you don't have case studies, that's totally fine. What you're going to do for your case study is you're actually going to just social hack at your system. Now, your system is probably not unique, okay? It's probably pulled from somewhere else, or you've used, some pieces of someone else's puzzle, and then you kind of made your own puzzle. what you're going to do is you're going to take a big name potentially, or just some, someone with a similar model that worked. All you're going to do is just say, hey, our system is very much like X name, and this is what they're doing for their clients, and these are the results they're kind of getting. Okay, and again, that's when you're kind of a beginner, because you don't have much to go off of. And then by association of you mentioning that individual and kind of merging your system with their system, again, the prospect can kind of think, okay, well, if it worked for them, it might work for us, maybe at a lesser degree, but still, you're still conveying some social proof. You're just social hacking your system and kind of merging, aligning it with others, okay? So those are kind of the 3 YouTube videos I would suggest you start posting. Again, demonstration videos. What's it like kind of working with you? What's your system? I would say do the whole 9 yards, okay? The whole thing. Again, you're just going to overwhelm the prospect. They're not even going to remember. They're probably not even going to take action anyways. Demonstration videos. Product awareness videos, specifically. If you're in a sophisticated market, which you probably already know that because you've done tons of research on your market, it needs to be mechanistic in nature. Talk about why your thing does what it does, how it does it, okay? Because it's going to be different, right? And if not, that's totally fine. You can just talk about kind of your product. If it's a less sophisticated market, just talk about how you're going to help them, okay? So go back to kind of their desires and needs and their pain points and what they're looking to do. And then, it's a lot easier. You don't really have to do that much. And, when it comes to kind of conveying, but the more sophisticated the market, the less you actually have to do, right? The less selling, the less copywriting, the less fluff you have to kind of mention, because they are sophisticated, right? So, and then lastly, just case studies. You need case studies. Start grabbing them. Ask, your clients, every time they kind of give you some great feedback about your business, ask, hey, can I get a testimonial? After a win, get a testimonial and get a video. And the way you're going to do that is just give them a template to follow. They can read it, film themselves, and then you're just going to film kind of reacting to this one just straight on, and then you're just going to merge the two, and it looks like you guys are talking. That's kind of it. Again, a lot more to come. That's kind of 3 YouTube videos I would suggest making. That's going to give your ICP a lot more intent when it comes to buying your product or service. Take care, and I'll see you tomorrow.